These are the voyages of SV Prism. The crew on board are searching for exotic landscapes and foreign cultures as they sail their 33-foot sailboat beyond horizons.
Bahia San Martin is one of the best kept secrets in the Sea of Cortez. Located between two hotspots for cruisers, Los Gatos and Agua Verde, San Martin is a place frequently skipped. Being surrounded by reefs that extend well past the point, the bay is very well protected from eastern swell, making it a great place to stay for an extended time. While we were there, the bay was so pretty to look at from the boat, we didn't leave the comfort of Prism for days on end. Finally, we rallied and decided to take the red paddle boards to shore and hike around. The bay has no designated trail, but with a keen eye and good shoes, you can slowly make your way up the hill to see the other side of the point. We felt truly isolated here, because we were. We had to remind ourselves to be ultra careful, as the closest help was pretty far away, and you would need to get there yourself, so extra caution had to be used. These are the places that are truly only accessible by boat, and that is why we live this crazy lifestyle. The city is fun and all, but going to these places that have not been touched by the masses truly feels special, and for us, is the main reason we're on this trip. I would have worn real shoes and pants, but it was a good hike. We wrapped up our stay in Bahia San Martin, and we were off for the short 7-mile jaunt to Agua Verde. One of the greatest things about sailing in the Sea of Cortez is that you can stay relatively close to shore. This gives you endless sights to see while on your passage. The sea is a special place, and it is a great area for us to get our feet wet and learn the ropes of cruising. Agua Verde is a cruising hotspot. It offers a little village to resupply your basic needs and 2 picturesque bays to anchor in that both offer good protection. With relatively calm conditions, we chose to anchor in the South Anchorage because of its proximity to the beach, where we could still row in easily. The village of Agua Verde makes you feel once again transported back in time. Life is simple, and the people here grow and raise almost everything they need to survive. Walking around town kind of feels like you're in a petting zoo. Cruisers have even nicknamed it the Agua Verde Zoo. You totally traced to bite my boot. You're so little. One of the specialties they offer here is goat milk and goat cheese. Not being a big fan of the milk, but loving goat cheese, I was excited to get my hands on some. Sadly, one of the other boats had just bought the lot, and the woman needed a few days to make another batch. Oh well. So we stopped by the little tienda to see if they had any eggs, but they were out of those as well. We had counted on getting some simple supplies here, but that was proving to be an issue. With no firm date when more supplies were coming in, we decided to head back to the boat and spend the rest of the day relaxing. Hanging out on the foredeck and playing games is one of our favorite things to do while aboard. Rummy and dominoes are amongst our favorites, with cocktails of course. With a good night's sleep, we hit the seas early the next morning for the 23-mile journey to Puerto Escondido. Most of the time, we don't leave early because of the lack of wind in the mornings. But we had heard from other cruisers that if we wanted to anchor in Escondido, we should get there earlier rather than later, because it can be a challenge finding room. What started out as a slow motor turned into a great beam reach sail once we got closer to the afternoon. The wind stayed variable, going from 5 to 12 knots. But with the drifter up, we kept Prism moving comfortably, despite the fluky winds. The closer we got to Escondido, the more the wind continued to wrap to our stern. which is a first in our history that the wind didn't come from our destination as the day progressed. Soon, we were sailing wing on wing, directly downwind and towards our anchorage. When coming into Puerto Escondido, you have 4 options on where you can put your boat. Option 1 is on the outside and in the lee of the point. This anchorage is called the waiting room. The waiting room has a small fee and is filled with commercial and private mooring balls that take up all of the good anchoring spots, leaving what few spots are available in very deep water. The second option is called the Eclipse. The Eclipse is just past the very narrow entrance to the inside bay. Once scheduled to be a private marina, the Eclipse was abandoned, leaving a great-looking breakwall and a large semicircle anchoring spot. While we were there, the space was an illegal battle between the 2 marina businesses on either side, both who wanted it. Option 3 is in the actual bay of Puerto Escondido, which is a natural hurricane hole. Translated to Hidden Bay, Puerto Escondido lives up to its name. From the sea, you would never expect a large inner bay that's hidden among the mountains. The last option is to get a slip at the government-owned Fonatur Marina. These cookie-cutter marinas are strewn all through Mexico, and they all share the same layout and accommodations. Here, you can get water, fuel, some basic food supplies, and take hot showers. The main reason to go to Puerto Escondido is to visit the historic town of Loreto, located 14 miles north of the anchorage.
Yeah, that was stick to your bones good.
Loreto is famous for being the location of the first successful mission in Baja California, Mission Nuestra Senora de Loreto, or Mission Loreto. It was founded on October 25, 1697, and is one of the main tourist attractions in Loreto.
This is like the first mission in Baja California, and basically the first mission in the Californias. And it was from here that Junipero Serra and what was the other guy's name? Another guy who's got a street named after him in San Francisco left from here and discovered San Francisco Bay and set up the mission in San Francisco.
Wow.
It all came from this place right here.
Well, that's pretty cool.
You can freely walk through this mother of missions and really soak up the history it has to offer. There are many other attractions in Loreto, including fancy hotels and delicious food. But we had a mission of our own, reprovisioning. With the local lays well stocked, we were able to get what we needed and head back to the boat. The next morning, we made the short trip out to Honeymoon Cove on Isla Danzante. Honeymoon Cove is another famous spot for Baja cruisers and is well loved. With multiple well-protected little bays, there's almost always a spot for you and your boat. The Overlook hike provides breathtaking views of the bay as well as your boat. The dinghy fishing was also excellent, and living off the sea is very doable here, especially if you like triggerfish.
Gorgeous here. The pictures do not lie. Water is clear. The bees here have been a little bit more intense than other anchorages we've been in. Probably the most that we've seen on the entire trip. Not to say that it's a deal breaker, but if you're really allergic, like you can hear them buzzing around me right now. We haven't been stung yet, but I have had a couple of close calls. The bobos also are pretty intense. God, these bees. Get away from me. It ranges from like your normal bee to like yellow jacket wasp things to big black like bumblebees. Anyway, the bobos around noon to about 4 or 5 o'clock are intense. Like they're kind of out right now, but not nearly as bad as they can be. And sadly, right now, the water is crystal clear, but it is riddled with thousands of little jellyfish. If you jump into the water, you will be stung a lot. So with those drawbacks, it's really just a view, and we have to stay inside a lot because we don't want to deal with the bees or bobos. So safe to say, I think we're ready to move on.
And just like that, we're off to our next anchorage, Puerto Balandra. Next time on SV Prism. Another windlass motor takes us north to Isla Carmen, where we meet up with a small fleet of cruisers and get some good hiking and supping in. We make a quick stop at Caleta San Juanico, while on our mad dash north after John gets a job opportunity in the States that he cannot refuse. We then head straight to Guaymas, which is on the mainland side, to haul Prism out and get her ready for 5 months in the hot Sonoran Desert. We'd like to thank our supporters on Patreon and the kind souls that donate to keep these videos coming. If you want to become a patron, go to patreon.com/svprism. This money goes to continue shooting and editing this show. If you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe. Also, check us out on Instagram and Facebook. If you want to see where we are currently, or if you want more information about Prism and our route, go to svprism.com. Until next time, fair winds and following seas.